the thing that everybody's attracted to is like, they just want it easy. Like they don't want to think about it. They will pay for you to tell them exactly what they want.
You know, I think having two entrepreneurs has been awesome in the fact that like we understand each other's lifestyle.
It blows my mind at how simple we made it. We made Facebook ad, the email list, to buy in. Like it was just so simple.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on another episode of eCommerce Uncensored. This is episode 203. My name is Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso.
So today we're joined with Allison Schaaf, who created a company called prepdish.com that delivers meal plans on a weekly basis. It's really cool. And it's really interesting to hear all these people now that we're doing more and more interviews, hear the journey that everyone takes, because we have our own, obviously, Jason. You have yours and I have mine, and we have ours together. So it's just funny it's interesting to see how many different routes people take. And
it makes you think that there's no really one way to do it. You know, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to, and that's why like it's very difficult for people to tell you, like, you know, the people that are on the outside looking in are like, well, what's the formula? What's the trick? What's the this? And really, at the end of the day, there really is no real formula. Everybody does it differently. It's just a matter of you figuring out the way to get people to buy your shit.
Yeah.
So
she's no different. She has a great story. Yeah. So enjoy this interview. Hey, Allison, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. So why don't you start out by telling us a little background about yourself. I know you have this business prepdish.com going, but why don't you just give us a little background about yourself first?
Yeah. So background is I started out as my background is as a personal chef and a dietitian. My first business was actually an in-person personal chef business where I went into people's homes and cooked their meals. Everyone's dream, right? I kind of wish I had a personal chef right now.
Yeah, really.
So that business was 11 years ago. And through doing that, I realized I didn't want to do that the rest of my life. And I tried to figure out how could I take what I was doing and get it online. I knew that would just be a better lifestyle. I could reach more people. I wanted a family, so it seemed like it'd be more conducive to having a family. So basically what I did is I took the system I was using with my personal chef clients, which was visiting them once a week, setting them up with meals for the week. I took my recipes, all the efficiencies I'd come up with, and created these meal plans. And that's where Prep Dish was born.
So I didn't tell you this before we started, but I used to have a baking blog with a professional pastry chef.
Okay.
And we got really big. I mean, we were doing like 20K a month. And
Nice.
we had a huge YouTube channel. Like we were getting 1 million views a month. So I'm really like interested about your business because I've come from this business. And it's funny because my business partner, she went to the Culinary Institute of America.
The CIA. Yep.
CIA.
They call it the CIA.
CIA. I actually went to Marist, which was like right down the road from it.
Okay.
Very close. And like the story sounds so similar because she started out in a bakery and she's like, oh my God, I got to get this freaking business online. I think that's everybody aspires to because that's such a tough industry to be in. So I'm really interested in hearing.
Well, it's not as scalable either. I mean, there's only one of you. How many houses can you go to handle this personal chef? So
yeah, and I started hiring chefs, and I did that actually I just sold that business this past year. So that's what I did for a while is I hired chefs, but it was managing a bunch of chefs. Having gone to culinary school and then managing them, that really wasn't my dream job either. So that was like motivation to bring it online.
Employees and things like that is a whole nother level of complication and frustration for sure.
What school did you go to? Did you mention that?
I went to Johnson and Wales, which is,
Oh.
right up there with CIA. They're kind of the two big ones.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I've only know that because of her, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah.
I know that's a big time culinary school.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like she like, and I don't know how if you feel this way, but like my ex partner, she couldn't wrap her head around how people were so interested in learning the things that came so easily to her. And like,
Hmm.
she's like, how am I going to sell this thing that like I do in my sleep? And I'm like, Gretchen, like, you don't understand. Like, you went to school, you're a professional at this. She's like, but why can't they just divide the recipe in half and then make it, just half of what it's?
Yeah.
So I don't know
Well,
if
I kind of could because, with the personal chef work, one, I saw, my clients were people that like had no clue what they were doing. And then I also was doing, I was doing a bunch of kind of things, but I'd go in person and do cooking lessons in people's homes. So I'd work one-on-one with people, teaching them how to cook. So by the time I got online, I kind of got a sense of what I was dealing with when it came to the home cook.
okay, got it.
So how did you get started? So I think a lot of people can be in your position where they're like, they just want to take their business online. What was the first thing you did to get started?
I mean, I just kind of, I just did it, right? Like, so the first thing I actually did was I knew I'm a very visual person. And I knew if I was going to put together these recipes and sell them online, that it needed to be visually appealing. And I like it to look nice, but I'm not a designer. So I went to the person who was designing my website. So I had my website and branding, and I had her actually create the meal plans so that they were visually appealing and they had like nice aesthetics. So that's kind of where I started. It was like, let's make sure this looks nice and like it all fits together and the branding's all there. So that's where I started, is that. And then also, of course, like the recipes and like writing it all down.
So how does it work when someone signs up for your plan? What do they get?
Yeah. So when they sign up, they get access to meal plans. So the meal plans, they're three pieces. So the first piece is a grocery list. So it's like, okay, you go to the grocery. Well, these days, more and more people, you don't actually go to the grocery store. You log on and you order your groceries. And I say, here's specifically, all of the items you need to buy. And then the next piece, and this is like really the key piece that some meal plans don't include, but it's the meal prep. So this is like, okay, here's all the steps that you take on, say, Saturday afternoon or Monday evening. You spend an hour or two doing all of these prep things. So it's like mixing up the marinades and chopping the vegetables. So getting all of that work done. And then the third piece is like, okay, at mealtime, what do you do? But at mealtime, it's not like making a recipe from start to finish because you've already done a lot of the prep work ahead of time. So the meals are really quick and easy. So it's like those three key pieces, and it's really guiding you through so that by the time you get to mealtime, you're set up, it's easy, you don't have to think about it.
So that's interesting because my business partner and I, my old blog,
Mm-hmm.
we were making money from like ad revenue, obviously, baking, like they have, and, YouTube, and we would sell ebooks and we do all that stuff. And
Yep.
the one thing we were going to get into next was exactly that, the meal prep, because that started becoming really big when I was like about 5 or 6 years ago
Mm-hmm.
when I was doing this. And that was like our next step because people always ask her like, what do I buy, how much of it do I buy, blah 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 blah. And the nice
Mm-hmm.
thing is like, or not the nice thing, but the thing that everybody's attracted to is like they just want it easy. Like they don't want to
Yes.
think about it. They will pay for you to tell them exactly what they want. um and that's like kind of where we were going. We never got there. She ended up
Mm-hmm.
suing me.
Yeah.
But have you thought, because when we were thinking about this, like the next thing that obviously comes to your head is like an app. Like,
Yeah.
okay, creating an app to do this.
Yep.
Did you guys think about that?
So it's interesting. We do, like, I survey my customers on a pretty regular basis. I like to really understand, what they're needing, what they're wanting. This is something people ask for, right? Like everyone tells me, oh, you need to do an app. But when I ask my customers, like, what does that mean to you? And like, what would you want out of an app? There's not much like that they can then go into detail. Like a lot of what we're already providing, the grocery list, we provide it in a text format. So it's like copy and paste if they want to like put it into Trello or something. But there's not much that an app could do that our system doesn't already do. So we haven't gone there. And I've talked to some other meal planning sites that have done the app. And because it was like so expensive to do, that they didn't really ever regain the money they spent on that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of updates when
Yeah.
iOS and when they like that. Keeping up with that is really difficult.
Yeah.
Um, so can we, Kev? And I don't know if you have anything to talk about, but I want to start getting into like some of the strategy and some of the stuff that you did to grow the business. And then you said that you have something else going on as well, and I'm interested in hearing what that something else is. But
Yeah.
I don't know, Kev, you got something?
And yeah, I just wanted to say one thing because you hit on something that is very important that I think a lot of people miss. And Jason and I have our own online info product as well going on right now. And when you say like when you're going about to make a business decision, you know, you don't make it yourself, especially when you have a subscription list, you have an email list.
Mhm.
We always do it. We have another business partner. The three of us get on a call like this, and we are like, should we do this? Should we do this? She's like, let's just put it in our Facebook group and see what they say, or let's send an
Exactly.
email and
Yep.
see what they say. That's the best way that you're ever going to make the right decision.
Yeah, no, you have to know who you're talking to. So yeah, Facebook group, we use that. If we ever have just an off the fly question, we're always like, anyone on my team, I'm like, let's just post it in the Facebook group and see what they say, if we have an idea. And then we do have a regular survey, twice a year that we do that's like demographics. Do you have kids? What age are your kids? So when we're writing our content, we know exactly who we're talking to and we're not making assumptions about who they are and what they want from us.
Yeah, I think that's really important because especially in, 2021, right? Where
Mhm.
things are getting more difficult. I don't know if you play around with Facebook ads, but they're getting harder and harder and harder to convert, on the front
Mhm.
end.
Yep.
It's really just becoming much more difficult. And knowing who you're talking to is going to only get more important, I think.
Mhm.
Because one thing that Kevin was just saying, we created this wildlife photography um, business. We're like a digital magazine, and we went from like $0 to $2 million in 1 year.
Wow.
But year two is a little bit trickier. Be quite frank, like to go from 2 million to 4 million, right? We're
Mhm.
dealing with other problems, and one of the problems is that at first we were talking to everybody. We're like, okay, everybody's just buying this, like just talk to everybody.
Mhm.
The problem is like you need to have other products to sell these people, and if you don't
Mhm.
know who they are, you can have a very difficult time selling them other stuff. And I'm
Mhm.
sure that's kind of what you're going at, right? Where like you want to know how old they are, what they like, what their dislikes are, so that you can create products for them. I don't want to
Mhm.
put anything like words in your mouth, but I'm guessing that's kind of why you do that, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Like I'm not going to come out with a new product and then have crickets, Like I've had plenty of ideas that I'm like, oh, I think this is what they want, but then when I run it by them, I'm like, nope, we don't really want that, or we want it, but we wouldn't pay for that. So
Yeah,
glad I
that's
didn't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
awesome.
we recently sent out an email just asking our email list, our customers for testimonials, and we
Mhm.
got some great feedback. I think we got like 45 or 50 videos within the first 24 hours, and we basically just take what they say. Well, Jason actually did it, but he took what they said and we put it on our sales page. We're just
Yep.
regurgitating what they want,
In
and
their
that's
words.
in their exact words.
Yeah.
So
So
Yeah, it's so important to use their words. Like what did you say earlier? You said something, oh, I don't want to think about it. That is a phrase. I never used to describe our product that way, but that is a phrase our customers say time and again when they use our meal plans. I don't have to think about meals now. Like you do the thinking for me. So now we use that in our messaging because we just heard it so many times from our customers.
and that's that goes on. That's with any business, really,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't know how much you're involved in. Are you familiar with like ClickFunnels? And
Mm-hmm.
you are okay. Like in
Yeah,
Russ,
I don't use ClickFunnels, but I'm familiar with them.
yeah,
Yeah.
like Russell Brunson, and
Mhm.
you know, people like it's funny, like done for you services, right? Compared to like people just want it done, right? Like they
Mhm.
don't want to think about it. Like just give me the scripts, give me the
Mhm.
emails, give me the shit, right? And that's what sells is ease and speed and that kind of stuff. Like I can't tell you how many like email people I'm seeing on Facebook, right? And all they are like, I'll give you the templates for the emails, I'll give you this, I'll give you this. That's what people want, and that's what the meal plans are for, right? You're the expert, right?
Yep.
They just want you to do it for them.
and
It's
even
really
Exactly.
and even the food blog space right now. I don't know how if you've seen that, Jason, lately, but like finding a recipe online is like you got to sort through so many ads, it's like a mess. It's like, just give it to me. Where is the
Yeah.
recipe? How do I make the thing? You got to scroll all the way down the page to finally see the ingredients. So I think this is really something that people are looking for, and exactly what it is. Just ease. Just give it to me. Make it easy
Mhm.
for me.
Yeah. Tell me what to do.
Yeah, can you talk to, I don't know how you can share as little or as much as you want.
Mhm.
But we have entrepreneurs like you on our podcast listening, and everybody likes to know the numbers. You don't have to go into like great detail, but like email list sizes and how did you grow it, and in terms of like what kind of revenue these kind of businesses can bring in. Are they like 6-figure businesses? Are they 7-figure businesses? Like, if you don't mind, I'd love to hear some of that stuff.
Yeah. So, gosh, I have been doing Prep Dish for 7+ years, and it kind of goes up and down, but the email list size is up it's like 30,000. So, not humongous, but it's a multi 6-figure business. There's definitely 7-figure businesses out there like this. And so our monthly subscription is $25. Our yearly, sorry, we just changed the prices recently, so
That's
I'm like, this
okay.
is a test. But they're like 149 and 179. So you need thousands. So we have thousands of subscribers. But thousands of subscribers get you to that hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue.
If you want this to become a multi-million-dollar business, Kevin and I are always looking for partners. Just throwing it out there. All right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Our baking, and the thing is, like, that space has changed, I think, over
Mhm.
the last several years.
Yep.
It's like a feeding frenzy now, I think.
Yeah.
And I think everybody and their mother has a quote unquote food blog. And it's getting,
Oh yeah. I mean, from when I started 7 or 8 years ago to now, like, when I started, there were a handful of meal planning sites, and now I see them come and go, every year. And it's amazing because I try and track who's out there, and I mean, I can't, there's just so many out there right now.
yeah, who is the big one? It's like the website's purple and white. I used to be friends with them, and I don't remember now. Oh man, what was it called?
You need more info with that? It's a purple and
I
white website.
know.
You know what it is?
E-meals is one of the big ones.
No, it's like a husband and wife do it, and then they teach people how to do like food
Oh,
blogs.
that's right. I remember you do it because
Oh yes, I know who you're talking about.
Um,
Food, or is it Food Blogger Pro?
yes,
yes,
that's
Yeah.
it.
yes. His
Yeah, I've been
wife.
on that podcast before.
Okay, his wife. They have their. They're a big player in the food blog
Yep.
space.
Yep.
And then they used to post their monthly revenue and that kind of
Yep.
stuff. And I used to be friendly with them when I was in that industry. I don't know.
Mhm.
Have you heard of Gretchen Price? Woodland Bakery blog, it was called.
No, I
No.
haven't.
Yeah, that was my ex-partner.
We actually
Nice.
attempted to create like an online course for building a food blog, because when Jason and I first met, he was just kind of coming off that experience with his old food blog. So we were like, okay, let's take what we know and teach people how to create the food blog. And
Mhm.
we got a lot of interest. It's like it was just a matter of like getting people to actually do some work.
Because it's difficult. There's a lot of work that goes into a food blog, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's not easy. And I think people don't realize the amount of work that we would put into it. So
I assume you go through that too, retention of your customers. Do you have a hard time because they have to actually go do something in order to take advantage of your service? So they have to go to the store, they have to order online, then they have to actually make it. Do you have any trouble with that, motivating people to actually do the stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's one of the big things. So in our, when someone signs up, one of the things we talk about a lot is, habits, and getting in the habit of doing the meal prep and trying, figuring out how to get the motivation there. And, things like just order the grocery, what's the first step that you have to take to make the whole thing happen, and, figuring out how to support them through that first week and actually trying the meal plan. Because that's the thing, once they try it, they can figure out, okay, this is really cool. This is going to save me time. This saves me money. My kids love it. It's then they're sold, but it's like that first step of getting them to actually try it. So we do a lot to support them.
have you done any air fryer recipes?
I have not gone air fryer yet. I don't have an air fryer. That's something I've asked a little bit on Instagram, and I'm kind of like, see, you need to make it's like the tipping point of like, do enough of the people have it to where it's worth, like the Instant Pot now, like we do Instant Pot, because even if they don't have the Instant Pot, you can do slow cooker modifications. but the air fryer is still like kind of on the cusp of like not enough of the people have it to where, I've gone there, but I feel like that might be coming because it's pretty popular right now. Do you use the air fryer?
So here's the thing.
That's all he talks about.
That's all I talk. So okay, two things. Number one, if I were you, I would get in front of that curve, first of all, because I don't think that's going away.
Okay.
Number two, people like me who never cook, I cook now almost every night because of the air fryer, right?
Okay.
It's really easy. I just season whatever I'm going to make and I throw it in there. The first thing I do, I go on Google and I say, how to cook scallops in an air fryer. Boom, the recipe comes up and I just copy it and I'm done.
Yeah.
The cleanup is easy. Everything about it is just easy.
Okay.
100% I would go. I bought one. My wife's family has two. Kevin has two. I think that's the next thing, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So why don't we go back a little bit and tell us about how you built that list. So you said you had 30,000 people on your list. You have, thousands of customers, you said. How did you build that? Did you use Facebook ads? Did you use email? What was your main source of growing the business?
Yeah, so a lot of it over the years, I would say it's working with influencers, and that differs, right? So like when I first started, it was working with bloggers. Then it was, working with podcasters. Now we do some with Instagram people. And also Facebook. We used to work with people that were more on Facebook. That kind of went away. So it's like over the years, it's always been working with influencers. It's changed. What that looks like has changed, but it's always been finding like, okay, who are my customers listening to, and going from there.
And you do like a rev share with them?
We do have an affiliate program, so sometimes it's that, but a lot of times it's like a paid sponsorship. So with the bloggers, it was like a paid sponsorship where they'd talk about it in a blog post, or they'd send it out in an email. With podcasters, it's podcast ads. So yeah, it varies.
That got big for a while, as well as like those like even like big name like ingredient companies would like sponsor like posts. I don't know. I don't know how big that is anymore.
No, well, I mean, for me, it just the ROI is no longer there. I don't know what it just kind of, I don't know. I think everything kind of cycles in and cycles out. So it's like I have to stay on top of what
the influencer aspect of digital marketing is like one thing that we've never really dove into. We hear it all the time. People have success with it and things, but it's just not, maybe it's because we don't like to deal with people that much. Like, because you must deal with trying to get influencers on board. It's a job in itself, reaching out to people, right? I mean, even to get people on our podcast is a full-time job for our producer. That's all she does is reach out to people. So you have to throw a lot of things out there in order to get like a small response. Is that kind of how you see it too?
Yes. Yeah, I think in the podcast space, it kind of got to the point though that we were on some big, we sponsored some big podcasts. So then it's almost like we got inundated with people wanting us to sponsor their podcast because they knew that we were kind of there and we were doing that. And we were a product that they could really like talk about and get behind, right? Like it was something that they wanted to promote. But yeah, then other times, like, if you're wanting to reach out to Instagram influencers, you're gonna have to do a lot of outreach to get response. And then, back and forth with the numbers and figuring all that out. But for me, it's also like, especially when we're working with the bloggers, it's like, okay, you really want like a few key people versus like 100 small people that are going to send you, 10 signups here and there. You really want the people that are going to, exponentially grow your list. By
the way, the website's called Pinch of Yum.
Pinch of Yum. Yeah.
Yes. They were big. They were big back. I mean, they're probably still big, but the world changed. So, okay. So influencers, that's an interesting thing to me because like Kevin said, we've stayed away from that, but the more and more people we get on this podcast that we interview, the more and more we're hearing that is how they're growing their businesses. And it seems like it's like, the next, I don't want to say the next, because it's really like what's happening now, but it seems like a lot of people are doing it. And we just have never done it because we just don't want to be, there's like personalities you got to deal with. It's just, I don't want to really get into that, but it seems viable. And it seems like people are doing that a lot. I mean, I see a lot of people like even on Facebook talking about how they've used influencers to, grow multi-million-dollar businesses. It's crazy. Now what about, so I look at your website, it's really nice. I like the branding of it all. That seems to be big in this industry, is making sure the branding, the demographic is like people who want to see pretty nice.
Yep.
So I could see you spend a lot of time on that.
Yep.
A lot of energy on it as well.
Well, we just did a website redo last year, so thank you.
I like it.
Those are never, like, by the end, they're never fun. Like, maybe like there's pieces that are fun, but by the end of year, it's like, oh, thank God that's done.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like I'm very torn on this because I really like the way it works, but studies have shown that it doesn't really change your results.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time with that because I love going to websites like yours, and I'm like, it's so clean. I love how the script is like brought into like the title and like the cool little underline thing you got going. But then like the other, like my marketing brain is like, that doesn't really change the results that much. So I'm very torn on this. And I just wanted to say that. I wanted to
and I am too. Sometimes I look back, I mean, we spent money, like so it's not just the money investment because it's a small team. Like that was a big time investment for my team too. And we were overdue, and I don't regret that we did it, but it was like, that was a lot of our time and energy last year. And how much does that pay off? I don't know. I mean, last year was, it was 2020. So there was just a lot of like things that made it difficult, but like, I don't know what the return is on that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think what's happened, and this has been at least my argument, is like mobile has changed that, right? Like you can't see the design on mobile like as much, right? So, and now they're saying with COVID, everybody's on desktops again. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just know that I like the way like really nicely designed websites look. They're very balanced. The colors that are, I like that, but I just don't know what it does at the end of the day.
No, I would agree with that actually.
What platforms what is your website on? Is it WordPress or is it?
So it's on WordPress, and then our CRM is Infusionsoft.
And how is that? Ooh. I've never used Infusionsoft.
I've been on Infusionsoft for years. I didn't start on it, but I've been on there so long. Like it is, the Confusionsoft thing maybe holds true, but like we figured out what we need, and it's really powerful when you know what you're doing. And so we have everything figured out, and like the tagging and the campaigns and all of that. So it works great for us because we've been on it so long. I don't know if someone's new and wanting to go there, if it's the best system out there, but it's what we've had. And so I like it.
So this is quickly coming into an email call, which is good because, we're finding that right now, email is what's working the best. And everybody has been predicting that email is going to be dead, but it's still the best platform to this day for selling. And Kevin has been driving me crazy about this because he wants to take all of our Facebook ad spend and just grow the email list from it. Right. And so one thing we're seeing, it's very weird, and I don't know if this is like happening to everybody, but there was like this big, like you talked about tagging, and there was like this big push with segmentation, right? Like, and I gotta be honest with you that we used to go into heavy segmentation, but we've kind of changed that a little bit, and we're not segmenting as much because I don't know why, but we're not finding that the segmenting is working like it used to. Like we're finding that it's almost better for our list to see everything that we're doing as opposed to just some of the things. What is your take on that? And what are you seeing?
Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that because we did that exact same thing. We came out with keto meal plans a few years ago, and we had a separate list that was keto. And then to buy it was a separate meal plan subscription. And we finally we're just like this. So with the website redo, that was one of the big things is we were like, we're just going to combine it all. When you sign up, you get access to all the meal plans, all of the list, get all of the stuff. And it was more of on our end, like, let's just simplify this, like for us and the team. Because I don't know that it's, really making an impact having all these different newsletters and all of these different products. And because sometimes we would have people that would were on both, like they were paying for both subscriptions. And so we're like, let's just simplify this. And we increased the price a little bit too when we did that. So
Yeah, it just makes everything so complicated. For a long
Yeah.
time, we were sending out emails, be like, oh, well, we got to make sure our customers don't see that because there's a little sales letter, there's a little note to buy the subscription. And then it got to the point where like, let's just send it to everybody. No one's really going to care that much anyway when it happens. So
we do take our customers. So the newsletter, we do take customers off of our other newsletter, but
Well, that's if you're trying to sell them something that they already purchased.
yeah, like an offer email or something. Of course, we'll get rid of our customers first.
Yeah, we've so what's interesting is that people that listen to this podcast know that Kevin and I have had an agency that kind of teetered on like the $1 million mark, like just under. We never really broke $1 million. We've always just been around that $1 million, and a lot of it's because we like to stay small and we like to have an intimate, relationship with our customers. But this other business that we had, like I told you, went from 0 to 2 million, just under 2 million, I think it ended up with in 1 year. And the simplicity of that business compared to every single thing we've done prior, it blows my mind at how simple we made it. We made Facebook ad, the email list to buy in. Like, it was just so simple. And, I've just finding that, like what you said, is just like simplifying things. You listen to these gurus. I did 50 million. I did 100 million. And you think it's so complicated, really, but at the end of the day, it's just a very simple process that they use over and over. And I'm
yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that, because when you ask about my numbers, I used to be like, oh, like my goal is like I have to get to 7 figures, and I was getting really close. But what I found is like I was doing so much and paying so much money to get there that then I kind of lost track of the profitability piece. And so over the past few years, I've really focused on. So I also have had, I have 2 little boys too. So like, that factors into it, but I've really simplified things for me and the team. And I've worked on like, let's make this thing profitable, like really profitable. Like I would rather have the bottom line be higher than have these really inflated revenue numbers that are fun to talk about. But like at the end of the day, that's not what I care about as much. Right.
Yeah. We hear it all the time. We hear people saying like, I know these influencers that they do $2-3 million, but they make like $100,000. And it's like, well, why don't you just make 200 grand?
Like, I can do that, but why?
Right. I mean, like in our business, we did 2 million and we made $1 million. So we made, we did pretty well, right? That's but yeah, profitability at the end of the day really is what matters. I mean, if I do 10 million and I make 50 grand, I mean, to me, what the hell, what's the point? Right.
No, I had to get out of that trap of like, I always say you can spend money to make money if you want. You can spend as much, you can get there if you spend all the money.
Yeah. I mean, I've never spent $1 million on Facebook, and we finally did.
Yeah.
Luckily that we're a digital product like you. So it was like very profitable.
Nice.
We would spend like 90 grand. We make back, almost 200 grand.
Great.
So, 2 extra turn was nice. So now,
I'm sorry. No. You mentioned your team quite a few times. Have you been able? How has that been to build that team? So, like, obviously, you're the person behind the business, but have you been able to kind of separate yourself a little bit to build the team? Because that's something that we always want to be. Like, we want to be like or Jason wants to be the visionary.
You struggle with being a control. I know
I'm a control freak, so I feel like I have to be in every piece. Okay, I said it.
Everything.
You say it on every podcast, so I'll say it again.
Because you are. She's never heard it, so now I need Allison to hear that you're a control freak.
Right. Okay.
He's right. I admit it. I'm a control freak, so it's hard for me to hand over the reins to somebody because I've had a hard time finding the right people.
Right. And he goes to me, he goes, what, you don't care? I'm like, no, it's not that I don't care. It's like, I just can't drive myself crazy over every period on a friggin' website like you do. If that's what you want to do, lose sleep on a period, then go do it. I'm reading, I'm reading this book right here, right? This is called Breakthrough Advertising. This thing, I started reading it yesterday because I lost internet. It's $150 marketing book, right? From Eugene Schwartz. This is the direct marketing. The first sentence in the book says, if you are looking for a scholarly reason why I've become successful and my copywriting is grammatically perfect, you're going to pick up another book. That's how I feel. This guy over here, you can't do any. Oh my God, you missed a period. Oh my God.
No, I've gotten better. Give me some credit. I've gotten better.
Right. Like I can't, it's like, just, I want to get
the result. It's less about the perfection, the proofing and all this. So I'm talking about like actually being able to trust people. Like
Anyway.
and having a team, how has that been for you? Do you have like a virtual team? Do you have employees? How does that work for you?
Yeah, so it's always been virtual. So actually back up there, remember when I got out of the personal chef business, I was like, oh, well, I don't want to just like manage a bunch of chefs. Like, I don't know that my like best, use of my time is managing people. But at the end of the day, if you want to grow a business, you've got to have a team. Like you can't do it on your own or you're going to like drive yourself to the ground. So I'm to the point now where I have I call them small but mighty team, and they are amazing. And it's the best thing ever because I can delegate like crazy. And, the team that I have now has been with me for quite a while. But, it's changed over the years. And that's something I had to learn too, is like, when I started out, I had a great team, but then as I grew, not everyone on the team could grow with me. And so, as they say, like the team, what is it? Is the team that gets you to one point may not be the team that gets you to the next point. So you kind of have to like evolve and be okay with that too. But the great thing with Prep Dish is I've really, a lot of times I actually hire from our list. So it's, my list is busy moms that are short on time. And so with Prep Dish, it's a virtual team. And so I find those, busy moms that are looking for some work from home. And the awesome thing is they use the product, they love the product, and they understand our core customer. And so they can help, as we create more, they can help understand the customer because they are the customer.
That's cool. Yeah, we've teetered on, our growing our agency and managing big teams. At the end of 2019, we were, like Jason said, teetering on the $1 million mark from our agency. But along with that came 8 full-time employees and health insurance and, handbooks. We started building handbooks.
Right. And 8 different personalities, 8 different people who wanted different things. And we should do this. I mean, and it's just at the end of the day, it was like a pain in the ass.
Yeah. We were like an agency that ran on freelancers for a long time, 1099 employees. And then we got to the point where we had so many people that were like, okay, we got to put some structure here. And then it kind of like went the other direction. We're like, yeah, this sucks. We don't really like this structure anymore. So now we're actually going back and we have a, nice small team as well. And it just makes it better to work with. So go ahead, Jason. You were going to say
So I want to, do you have any, because I want to talk about this other thing you're doing as well.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it, but do you have any advice before we move on, for people looking to start a subscription type business like yours? Because we have a subscription business as well. Ours is yearly. Yours seems to be monthly, right?
Weekly, actually.
Weekly?
The product comes out weekly, but it's either monthly or yearly that they sign up for.
Oh, okay. What's some of your advice to people looking to get into that kind of model?
I mean, start with what I was saying earlier of like getting to know your customer and making sure that you have a product that they want and that they will buy, and really like understanding that, like really understand your customer before you jump into it. I think it's easy to think you have a great product or a great idea, but you need to know that that's, there's a market for it.
Kevin and I talk about this all the time. Yeah. It's like, I think people who haven't been successful with a business, at the very core of it is that they're trying to sell shit that people don't want. And then they think it's like, they don't know what they're doing. It's just that you're trying to sell something that nobody wants. Like, it's so much easier if you have a product that people want. And that's what this book is talking about. It basically talks about like these forces. Like, you can't create a force, right? Like, he talks specifically about like weight loss. He's like, he wrote this book in the 60s and he's like, it doesn't matter when you read this because the forces that people use to buy things are never going to change. People want money. People want to lose weight. Those will never change. So finding a better way to just sell a product to that market is really what you should do.
Yeah.
So like having a product people want is like most important thing.
We also hear it all the time that like from our agency side and just having interviews like this is like people want to come out with this. They have this idea and they've told their friends and everybody is on board. Like a couple of years ago, we had this guy who built this. He spent 4 years developing this brick oven, backyard brick oven where you can make pizzas and things. He came to us. He's like, yeah, this guy said he's going to buy one. That's going to buy one. This thing's going to blow up as soon as we put it up. And then as soon as he asked the people who said that they wanted it to give him their credit card, it was like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So until somebody's ready to give you your credit card and pay you for something, that's really, you know, that's when you really get a gauge on how businesses are going to go.
Yep.
So
All
cool.
right. So next thing
I'm
you're
curious,
doing.
very
I'm
curious.
curious about this as well. Is it in the same space? Is it something else? What's this other thing that's taking up 50% of your time?
Yeah, so it's, well, I guess there's some overlap, but totally different. So a little background. When my husband, so when I met my husband, Prep Dish was already up and going, and we knew we wanted a family, so we got into starting our family, and we unexpectedly ran into a bunch of fertility issues. Specifically, I would get pregnant and then I would miscarry. Nothing I would ever even imagine I would have issues with. And over the past 2 or 3 years, I had a total of 5 miscarriages, and was not something I even realized could happen.
Yeah.
And as we were going through, so my husband's also an entrepreneur, and as we were going through this like year-long journey of like having these issues and really not finding resources specifically for this, like there's a lot in the infertility space, but a lot of it's, I can't get pregnant. Well, I was getting pregnant, so I couldn't really relate to a lot of what was out there. And with miscarriage specifically, people don't like to talk about it. People get uncomfortable when you talk about it. And it was one of those things that when we were going through it, whenever we'd kind of sit down at the end of the day and like have a drink and we'd be talking about things, we were both like, there's a business here. Like there has to be something here. And so, last year in November of 2019, I was like, okay, I'm doing it. So I started the LLC. I came up with the name. I got a branding person to, help with the branding. So it's called Miscarriage Hope Desk. I spent the first half of 2020 building out the branding and the voice and the messaging and the website. And then we launched officially in July and put together, I had a medical writer that did a library of resources. We have a podcast, and then I have someone that helps with social media. And we have a really, it's new, but the Instagram account that's really growing, and then a Facebook group as well. So we're kind of like, I don't know how, like we're either a year old or 6 months old, depending on how you count it. And still kind of figuring out the grounding there. And like I said, I'm like doing right now, I just put out a survey literally this morning. We did a webinar. It's a, free training this month, and but still trying to figure out like how I can best, serve that audience and what the monetization model is going to be. But the response is there, like the people are there. So we're kind of still figuring it out, but it's obviously like something I'm very passionate about, and feel very strongly that, there just needs to be someone in that space, and I'm going to be that person.
Isn't it interesting that like the entrepreneurial journey, right? Like you go in doing one thing, like you've been a chef, and then like all of a sudden, like you get this other idea, like, oh my God, like I can do this other thing. And oftentimes like that second thing somehow becomes bigger than the first thing, it's like, because you've learned and you know what to do with this second thing. And it's just interesting because I think we all go through that. I mean, I must have like bounced around from business to business. Kevin and I just bought a golf simulator for our office that was supposed to be getting installed yesterday, but we got like 20 inches of snow, so we couldn't do it yesterday or today. But like that's another business we're gonna do, and that business, it will probably, God willing, it'll probably do what the wildlife thing did, because we know just a little bit more than what we did.
It's so fun to start, isn't it though? Because you're like, wow, like here's all the things I wish I would have known when I first started, however many years ago, and I'm going to do it this time. Like I'm going to do it the way I wish I would have done it years ago.
Yeah, because, and it's true, because like, it's exciting because number one, we don't have control of the wildlife thing. We have a partner who's like one of the best wildlife photographers on the planet. He was, worked with BBC, worked with National Geographic. I mean, we have like in that business, pretty amazing. We have like professional National Geographic photographers who buy our magazine, which is, that just blows me away. Like these are like the best out there. But we don't have any control over it. But the golf
content,
thing,
the content side of it,
yeah. The golf thing, I used to be a professional teaching professional. So like we're going to have control over it. And yeah, like we're going to start this thing from a place that is like so much further down the line, I think, than anything else we've done. So really, really excited about it.
Yeah.
Plus being able to do something that you're so passionate about is so important. It makes it so exponentially, I don't want to say easy, but like, it's just like you have that information. It's like you want to help, like you're really passionate about it. And so you mentioned, this is something that you and your husband do together?
No, he has his own business, but it's something he definitely like, you know, I have his moral support, I guess. And, and also the support, you know, as a family deciding to, you know, invest in another business. So.
Oh, wait, Kevin, before you move on, Allison.
Yes.
I just want to back up a little bit because you probably figured out that like my buddy over there, he doesn't get excited about too much. His heart like once a month. So I get all the excitement and he's just like, oh yeah, man, that's pretty cool. We'll try that. Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to back up and say, I get excited and I
get excited. Yeah. It's just like, you know, I get overwhelmed really easily. I get anxiety very easy. Like I see work to be done with the job. He sees like just the concept of it and he gets excited over it. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to do this. We're gonna have to do this. We're gonna have to do this.
Gotta work.
So that's what, you have to work. And, you know, we tend to, and that goes into my next question is like living with another entrepreneur. Like, I don't think that I could live with Jason as my partner, because we just have so many ideas going back and forth that we'd never actually do one. And I think that happens sometimes with us. And that's why I don't get so excited, because we have our agency, we have the wildlife thing. I'm like, let's pick a lane here. Let's pick a direction. And it's hard when you have that entrepreneurial brain. Do you guys go through that as a family?
Yes and no. I mean, we keep our work pretty separate. Like I'll go to him with ideas, or he helps with my interviews. That's about the only thing. 'Cause he's really good at top grading and like doing interviews. So I like I loop him in every now and then, but for the most part, we, we'll, talk about it at the end of the day, but we stay pretty separate. And so for a while we shared offices, which never really worked. But then when COVID hit and we were like both working from home all the time, we now have separate offices. So that's been a really good thing for our whole family. I think having two entrepreneurs has been awesome in the fact that like we understand each other's lifestyle and like ebbs and the flows. And like, we did a lot of travel when we first got married, and we're able to kind of do that because of the entrepreneur lifestyle. And that's something we want to do later on with our families. We want to do a lot of world travel and take them around, and you can't do that with well, maybe these days you can, but
yeah, you got to ask permission.
Just don't tell anyone where you are.
We both have control over our schedules, which is nice.
How old are your boys?
So 2 years old and 4 months old.
Oh, okay.
I got a 11-month-old and a 7-year-old.
Okay.
2 boys as well. And
Yep.
Kevin has a 20-year-old and he has a
9-year-old,
8 and 9-year-old.
Boy and a girl. Yeah. So you're in the thick of things. You're really in deep right now.
Yeah. He gave me an 8-hour stretch a week ago, and now he like hasn't done it since. And I'm like, seriously, why are you teasing me like this?
My son sleeps through the night, the 11-month-old, but he didn't at first. He had this problem breathing. So he would like I don't know. It was like, you have like this flap in your throat that like opens and closes. It opens and closes, and his like doesn't open all the way, and he stays closed, and he was getting like reflux. So he was like up all night, and he's finally
Allison's just working on her
lost my earpiece.
Yeah.
Like
so he's sleeping.
Funny. My son I think he has that, but it never impacted his sleep. He just has he barks. We call it his bark.
So is it the same thing?
Well, I don't know. We had to go to the ENT, and they looked, I don't know the technical name, but it was like his throat was like not fully formed and was kind of had a flap. And
yeah, so like there's this thing inside that is supposed to harden up.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't get hard, it stays closed or something. I I can't believe he doesn't have reflux, because that's like what happens because it's not opening and closing properly. So it like gases.
Well, his is a very mild form. I think really the only thing is it's just this like raspy bark. It almost sounds like he has that croup or something, and he doesn't. He hasn't been sick yet. So
yeah, see, my son, it was more like we call a meep meep. Like when he was born, he would like make these meep meep sounds, and like,
oh gosh.
and now it's like a little bit deeper because he's older now. But yeah, it's probably the same thing. We took him. They put like a camera in there, and
yep, we did. Oh gosh, that was awful. Sticking a camera down his. I'm like, seriously, like I can't watch.
It's like it feels like it's forever, but it's like only seconds. And
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, his is not mild. The doctor said this is the worst case he's ever seen.
Oh no.
But supposedly they grow out of it when their throats get bigger.
They do.
I can't believe he's almost a year already.
February 25th.
That's crazy.
A year.
Wow, yeah. Congrats.
Thank you. Are you congratulating me for getting this far, or are you congratulating me for having the baby? Which one is it? No, but yeah, same to you. Congratulations to you. I mean, it's an awesome thing, but you know, I'm old. Like I'm going to be 44, and you know, my wife is like old. 7 years younger than me, and like she wants a third. I said, you better go find another boyfriend, because I am not giving you another one. I don't give a shit. You could drug me up. No. So
it's a lot.
I'm not doing it anymore.
All right, Allison. So, where can people find you? Where do they go? Instagram? Where should they go to find you?
Yeah. So, with PrepDish, so I have a 2-week free trial. It's just prepdish.com/eCommerce, and they can try it out for free for 2 weeks. So if they want to try the meal plans, those are there. And you know, there's the 2 companies. So for PrepDish, it's PrepDish everywhere. And for Miscarriage Hope Desk, it's Miscarriage Hope Desk everywhere. So Facebook, Instagram, all the places. Yeah.
Awesome. I like that prepdish.com. I like that domain. That's nice and easy.
That really is nice.
Yeah. You got in there early.
All right, Allison. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being on.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Thank you.
That was a great interview again, Jason. Really nice lady. Great story. And I thought, like, you know, her story about the other business she's creating, the miscarriage stuff, is a really cool thing too. I mean, thank God that I never had to deal with something like that before, but she had to go through 5. That must be brutal. And
it's interesting because like that's like a passion project for her. You know, the prepdish.com, like that's making her money, but this thing is like more of like an emotional. You could just tell,
right?
It's like it's more of like an emotional thing for her, and it's like a passion thing. And the nice thing is like she's not in any rush to like make it successful because she has something that's already working for her.
Yeah, exactly. Really great story. So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. We have we did our course giveaway. We didn't realize our schedule with our interviews and things that we wouldn't be able to announce it when we said we would. So we're going to announce that on our next episode, 204. So listen for that. Subscribe to the podcast. And as always, you can check us out at eCommerceuncensored.com. We'll talk to you guys real soon.